Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So we are on chapter 10 and Bhagwan started speaking last few verses, and from the last verse he started describing his vibhutis. These are special vibhutis. Like that, everything is Bhagwan's vibhuti, but these are special vibhutis that will help us to connect to God, help us in our meditation, help us to understand. And he's speaking to Arjun, so we should remember that. Some of the vibhutis that he's talking about, we may not know those Puranic stories, but since he's speaking to Arjun, Arjun knew about all of those. So he has to speak in a language that he understands. But once we know what Bhagwan is talking a little bit, we can go back and understand the Purana, those stories and significance, and that way it can help us. So that's what last time I did. I mentioned a couple of vibhutis that it was kind of new to us, all those Adityas and Marichi and Maruts and all. So we talked about that. So let's see now in this one, he's going to talk about 4 other ones. It's verse 22. Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana. Vedanam, among the Vedas, all of us know about the Vedas. Samaveda, I am the Samveda, that's what he said. Samaveda, Asmi is me. Devanam, among the gods, Asmi, I am Vasavaha. So we may not have heard of this word Vasavaha, but it means Indra. So we know about Indra. So, and Indriyanam, among the senses. And we'll see the connection between Indra and Indriya. What is it? When we do the explanation. So Indriyanam, among the senses, Manaha, I'm mind, Cha, and Asmi. I am Bhutanam, among living beings. So it's not that Bhut Pret wala Bhut, but it's the living beings, are the Panch Bhuta se jo bane hue hain. Among the living beings, Asmi, I am Chetana. And Chetana is, sometimes, when we translate the word into English, we don't have an absolutely correct word, what it is. But here Swamiji's put intelligence, but we will see in the explanation a little deeper meaning. And intelligence is also correct, but a little more significance we will see. So now he says that among the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. So just to kind of repeat some of the things that we have already repeated earlier, review them, and if whoever doesn't know will kind of see what Vedas, what the significance is. So Vedas are the knowledge that are means of knowing the Bhagwan. Okay, and then Nikhilanandji actually mentioned something very interesting. He said that, 2 things are kind of beyond our comprehension fully. And what it is one is a sense of dharma and one is moksha. Moksha is, liberation or final, that realization of God or connecting with God or merging with God, whichever way you want to see, nirvana, moksha, liberation, So, and dharma, because sometimes we have the dilemma. 2 things both look like okay to do, but I have to still choose one, like Arjuna had it. What is my dharma at this point? So these are the 2 difficult things beyond our complete comprehension. And in order to understand these dharma and understand moksha, we have to take the help of Vedas. So I thought that was very interesting thing he said. And also what is good, what is not good, what is right, what is wrong, and things like that, and take the support of Vedas for that, all that. It's like a manual. I think that's the best explanation that I heard. That just like you buy an appliance and you need a manual when something goes wrong, Vedas are our life manuals, provided by the manufacturer itself, Bhagwan himself. And then what is the nature of the supreme reality? So we have to take the support of Vedas again, because here we know that Krishna Bhagwan, whatever he said in Gita, that's a sar of the Upanishad, and Upanishad is the sar of the Vedas. So what Krishna Bhagwan is talking about is also from the Vedas. And then these are called revealed scriptures. It's not written by humans. That's very, very important to know, that it's not like we say that Ved Vyasji wrote Veda, but the correct word is he compiled the Vedas. He did not write it. All these things are revealed to different rishis and munis in their meditation. Things are revealed, all the mantras, all the good rahasya, jisko bolte hai, all the deep secrets of nature and Bhagwan and all that. And so they were all scattered mantras. And what Ved Vyasji did, he compiled it into the 4 Vedas. Compilation is what he did. So then we never say that there is any kind of author. It's coming directly from that Brahman, from that Bhagwan. But sometimes we associate certain mantras with certain rishis because they were revealed to them. And the most famous one that everybody knows about from India is the Gayatri Mantra. Okay? And Gayatri Mantra was revealed to Vishwamitra. So it's associated with that rishi. So from that context, it is associated. But he still doesn't claim to be the writer, but it got revealed to him because he was the right instrument, right patra. So that's how. And we do bow down to him for that. We gave him all the credit for getting it revealed. And so now we know, all of us know there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, and Atharva Veda. So, Rig Veda is mainly the prose. It's, like essay form, bolo ya jo bhi hai. It's not like in a singing form, And then it seems that Yajur Veda is in both prose and poetry. But Samaveda is entirely in the poetry form, which is quite amazing. There are like hundreds and God knows thousands. I don't know how many are there in there. So all of that is in the singing. Music and all is part of that also. And so, whoever knows how to chant this Veda, the Samaveda, it seems, is very sweet and it can be sung. So Bhagwan, he says that वैसे तो he is every Veda is his vibhuti, but out of them, special vibhuti is Samaveda. So just a little bit more insight into why he said that. Because, Nikhilanandji was explaining that if you add music and poetry, you feel more connected to it. There's some intimacy happens with the whole thing. And like we know that it touches our heart. That's why हम पुराने गाने सुन के कितना हम लोग को look at the wordings, हम लोग भी एकदम भाव विभोर हो जाते हैं, right? So with our intelligence, it touches our heart. So that's why it goes deeper. So that is the thing. That's why Bhagwan said that among all the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. So that was a very interesting insight that he said, And he also mentioned that whoever knows about Shankaracharya ji was, Advait Vedanta. So his commentaries on all the things are like in the prose form, like if you Bhagavad Gita, there's that pretty deep commentary उन्होंने दिया, इतना deep insight दिया पूछो मत. लेकिन उन्होंने भी कई compose किए beautiful hymns, and one of them is Bhaja Govindam. That Bhaja Govindam Mudabate. If whoever has not heard it, go hear it. It's really beautiful, and the meaning is also, but because it's in poetry form and you can sing it with a tune. A lot of people are given different tunes. It sounds so wonderful. And even Nirvan Shatkam. People have sung it with so many beautiful tunes. It puts you in a different world only when you listen to, somebody singing versus just reading. So now you know that what is the significance. That's why even him, somebody like a big, great scholar like him also. And then when Ramana Maharishi, whoever knows about him, he never hardly went to any school or anything, but because he was self-realized, he knew Sanskrit and things like that. He had not directly studied the Vedas in a school like other lot of swamis and all, but he knew the whole knowledge. And it seems that there is one, what is the name of it? I'm forgetting. Meena ji might remember, because we studied that in Chinmaya Mission. One of his thin books is there. But so it starts with Karturagya, something like that. And like whatever action we do, the result comes from I know the meaning, but I don't remember the text.
Is that Upadesh Sara?
Upadesh Sara, exactly. Upadesh Sara. Usko bhi gaya ja sakta hai. And it seems that somebody told him in the morning that they used to call him Bhagwan, his devotees. Bhagwan, can you compose something for us? And it seems that he went around in his usual walk, and while walking, he composed it. And it's the entire Sar of the Vedas, and it can be beautifully sung. People who know singing, they do it. So these Rishi Munis and all that, they also understand that music, those things, you include your heart with your mind. That's why Bhagwan said that among all the Vedas, I am that. That was very interesting. So, and then the next one he said, among all the Devas, I am Vasavaha. Vasavaha is Indra Bhagwan. And when you say about Devata, one group of Devata is that we know very well about is, all the 5 elements wale Devata. Vayu Devata, Agni Devata, Varun Devata and all that. And then there is Yamraj is there. Sabke alag-alag department hai, right? उनकी सबकी ड्यूटी है, और उनका हेड इज इंद्रा. एंड वैसे इंडिया में बोलेगे ना 33 करोड़ देवताज हैं, whichever one you like to pick, उन सबका राजा जो है ना वो इंद्र है. सो भगवान ने बोला वो मेरी स्पेशल विभूति है, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली ही इज द बॉस ओवर देयर, इज द कंट्रोलर ऑफ एवरीथिंग. एंड देन subjectively, when you go within, the same 5 elements, they represent in us the 5 indriyas, because each indriya is connected with those elements. So वहां पर उन्होंने बोला देवानाम अस्मि वासवः, और यहाँ पर बोला इंद्रियानाम मन अस्मि. I am the mind. And then we know that each indriya kind of function as though separately, because eyes will see, ears will hear, skin will touch, nose will smell, and all those things. And one cannot do the function of the other. Eyes cannot hear. It has no connection with that, right? It seems like they're totally independent. But all of them give that information to the mind, and mind can understand all 5. And without mind being connected to it, nothing can be done. You may see something with your eyes, but if your mind is not connected and your mind is somewhere else, you won't even see it, as though, right? We already know it. If we are so engrossed in something and somebody calls and you don't listen and says, what happened to you? And because your mind was somewhere else. So mind is a very important part of the indriyas, and it understands all of it. So that's why Bhagwan said that among all the indriyas, I'm manaha. That's my special vibhuti. And then when we think about indriya, sometimes we only think about Gyanendriya. Gyanendriya, or, organs of perception, which is, the 5 things: smell, touch, seeing, touching, and taste. Those are the 5 in there. But when they talk about indriyas, there are 10 indriyas actually. 5 are called Gyanendriya, others are Karmendriya. Hands, legs, our genital organs and all that milake, and is 5, speech. These are this is how we act out in the world. But they are also connected with mind. If mind is not connected, if your mind is put to sleep, when you are in kind of deep sleep, you can't lift your hand. See that? You can't do anything, right? So when it talks about I am the mana among the indriyas, he means all 10 indriyas. Gyanendriya as well as Karmendriya. So English में बोलेंगे organs of action and organs of perception. So this is what he said, right? Yeah. And then he was just saying, Nikhilanand ji was saying that indriyas are actually, देखा जाए तो mind का ही extension है. mind because it kind of is going out and then bringing the information in. So from one perspective you can separate them, another perspective you can say they are all together, whichever way you want to look at it, both are correct. And anything else in there? And he was just saying, we already know, now we have a newborn, that when their senses and mind may not be fully developed, so they may not understand the relationship, about some noise come, they don't know where it's coming from, they see something and they cannot connect, their mind is not developed. But as the human body grows and all, then the mind fully develops, and then it becomes like a so kind of important thing to function. Without mind we cannot function and all that. So that's why Bhagwan said that among all the indriyas I am the mind, that's my vibhuti. Okay. So he was just saying that we should meditate on the mind as myself only. I say, how do I use this? The way I would look at it, mind is so complicated that in the West I feel they have barely scratched the surface. And in the East they know, but together East and West ka mila ke research everything, still there is mystery of the mind, and that you can connect it. Hey, it's Bhagwan's glory, so whichever way you want to get inspired about the mind, And the last one, he said that among all the living beings, I am Chetana. So Chetana, यहाँ पर उन्होंने बोला intelligence, but let's go a little bit deeper. Whoever understand Hindi, उसकी चेतना खत्म हो गई. Life spark is gone. So when Chetana ka another translation could be life spark. And that which makes everybody alive. So it's a little technical, little subtle thing that try to understand. That which gives life to everyone is my vibhuti. Because all the other things in the world are inert. Panch bhutas, our body is inert. That it doesn't have life in it, and when the life enters and all, there is, I think in some of the Puranas, it seems, there is some Garbha Purana or something like that. They have the whole 9-month ka detail, when the life enters, what the baby does, blah, blah, blah. And they even say that when the baby is in the womb, it remembers his previous lives and all that. It remembers a lot of things and it prays to God, I will be very good. I'll do this, I'll do that. I don't want to be coming back here. We don't want to think negative about, but, fact of life that they are all tied up inside and swimming in that water and all that. So anyway, so the question is that what makes us alive, that is called the Chetana. And that is coming from that consciousness. And the reason Bhagwan said intelligence over here is because in our mind that consciousness is reflected and expresses eventually as an intelligence. Even a little baby has some intelligence. That's why it knows, when I want the milk, I have to scream and they know how to drink the milk and things like that. So obviously the intelligence is there. And if you think about intelligence, you can say that the plant life, the animals, they're also living. Everything is living. The plant, animal, humans. The degree is different, but intelligence is there in the plant also. That's why, avocado plant only gives avocado. and rose plant gives roses, because it has an innate intelligence, so whichever way you want to look at it. But, Chetana is bola because that something which is inert becomes alive. Isn't like a magic, that जैसे ही चेतना गई, the body becomes totally useless. उसकी कोई value ही नहीं रह जाती है. We saw in that some other text that how it said that when a person dies, you have to say, okay, we have to cremate it quickly because otherwise it will not, start rotting the body and all this. I mean, those are kind of facts of life. I don't want to gross everybody out or anything or scare, but we know that how much importance is there of the consciousness, because a live body is so valuable, So that's how we have to see that that's why it is a vibhuti, that something inert becoming alive is the vibhuti of Bhagwan. So we have to just look at it that way. And he was just saying that without that, we can't move, can't walk, can't talk, can't do anything without consciousness, So, and consciousness is the one that expresses, makes us conscious. So that's how we can, another way. Then in English language, I'm conscious of my world and all that. So yes. So this is what it is. And this is the symbols which help us contemplate all these different things. Not even vibhuti is the right word. And it is saying that it gives us wisdom, a thinking or tune to Bhagwan, to give us some more insight into the connection. And, we have like, all of a sudden something opens up. Wow, without that consciousness, I'm really nothing. The world is nothing. But how do I see that? These are like almost like wonders of the world, you can say, that they have not been able to even solve with so much advancement and all that, how the life comes. Nobody has been able to duplicate life anywhere, hey, I'm going to create some life. No, it's not. So that is Bhagwan's vibhuti. So many things can come out of this, So like that, we will continue. Any question, comment?
I was just going to say, when I read the last one about the intelligence, isn't it the reflected consciousness first gets from consciousness, reflected consciousness comes to intelligence, and from there onwards up to the downwards?
Yes. So, see, when you say intelligence in the English language, then it has a specific meaning also, right? That, hey, because, mana and buddhi, uska jo,
Yes.
Or yahan par uska jo meaning hai na, what you are saying, that consciousness is like reflecting in our mind that makes us alive.
Right, from there. That's
Yeah.
right.
So from that perspective, that intelligence which we use in the English language is a part of that reflected consciousness. But there's much more to it.
But where, it's reflected somewhere. From that onwards, then it goes down.
Yeah, you can say that it starts from there, and then it's like a mirror. And you put the mirror out when the bright sun is up there, and it will start reflecting, and the light will start going out, and then illuminating other things, right? Yeah. So you can say that and that's why when you say somebody died, all that happened was that the subtle body where the consciousness was reflecting gets separated. Right? So then now this body, physical body, is totally useless, because that subtle body is still conscious.
Yes.
And it's traveling and going and all. That's why there's people who have near-death experience, that from that subtle body, they are still kind of attached to their, in a emotional way or whatever way. They have not dropped it completely. So that's why they can see everything and all that, So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little technical, but
Okay.
whatever. I hope it helped with your question. Any other question or comment? Okay, so we can read. Any volunteers to read? Sushilji has come after a few days. Oh, but your book said you have an old book, right? You can read?
Yeah, I can read.
Okay.
Among the Vedas, I am the Samveda, I am Vasava. Among the gods, among the senses, I am the mind, and I am the intelligence among living beings. Of all the Vedas, I am the Samveda. The bulk of the Samveda is nothing but the essence of the Rig Veda, and the latter is considered as the most important of all our 4 Vedas. In Chandogya Upanishad, the Samveda has been beautifully glorified. Again, in Samveda, there is the added joy of music, in as much as
Saman, I think Samans. I also don't know what exactly. It's something to do with music.
inasmuch as samans are to be sung in complicated tunes, the melody and the rhythm of which are revealing evidences of the mighty art that has been so exquisitely developed by our ancients. Thus, through the beauty of the comparison, we may read the Krishna is, I am the infinite essence tuned to music, as Rig Veda mantras are in the Samans.
So it seems, the South में ये लोग को वो पूरा art होता है how to sing these Vedas, or they sit in a certain position and then they संस्कृत का भी वो बहुत कुछ होता है कि लंबा स्वर, छोटा स्वर, मीडियम स्वर, पता नहीं क्या क्या है. ओके, वी डोंट नो एनीथिंग. नॉर्थ में मैंने नहीं देखा इतना, मगर साउथ वाले एंड देन वो हाथ से भी करते हैं कुछ कुछ, राइट? एक्शंस हाथ से करते हैं व्हेन दे आर सिंगिंग द वेदास एंड ऑल दैट. बट इट लुक्स वेरी नाइस व्हेन यू सी these students, they sit in line and then they kind of recite it. It puts you in a trance almost, because it's so rhythmic, and so they have a whole art of singing about it, that it's really amazing. And anyway, so that's why it is something very, very special, and Bhagwan said that's my vibhuti.
Mamaji, I have a question.
Yes.
So this, when it says that I am the mind and I am the intelligence among living beings, so they could have said I am the consciousness among living beings.
So did you come after like several? That's why you're okay. This is what it is. So I'll just summarize a little bit why vibhuti. So even though Arjun heard everything, okay, consciousness is everywhere, हमने भी सुन लिया. ओके, अभी हमने सुन लिया, तो अभी फिर भी मुझे लगता है मैं भगवान को कहाँ देखूं, बिकॉज उन्होंने कहा कि ऑलवेज कनेक्ट विथ मी, right? And he's saying, I'm going for war, I'm going outside to work, everybody has different jobs. So when I go out, how can I see you? How can I remember you? Tell me how you exist in this world. That was his question. So भगवान थोड़ा उसका क्वेश्चन सुन के फ्रस्ट्रेट हो गए. फ्रस्ट्रेट इसके लिए हुए कि भाई मैं क्या बताऊं, मैं कहाँ हूं, मैं तो हर जगह हूं, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं, तू मुझे पूछ रहा है तो मैं तेरे को स्पेशल चीजें बताता हूं that is easier to see me. See, when we see something glorious, something beautiful, something we use this word, no, wow, this is so divine, wow, this is so out of the world, this, that, oh my God, and things like that. So this oh my God wali cheezein bata rahe hai wo. Okay, so when he started the vibhutis, पहले उन्होंने बोला मैं सब में हूँ और मैं तुम्हारी आत्मा, वो सबसे बड़ी विभूति है, लेकिन हम लोग आपको आत्मा दिखाई नहीं देती है. लेकिन जो उन्होंने बाकी विभूतियां बताई ना, उसमें से जैसे लास्ट वाले में शायद आप नहीं आए थे, उसमें उन्होंने बोला कि अमंग द आदित्याज आई एम द विष्णु जी के बारे में हमको मालूम है. ही इज ऑलवेज देयर एज अ अवतार एंड ऑल दैट, दशावतार. And among all the luminaries, I am the sun. Now, who doesn't get fascinated by the sun? It's the most glorious thing in the daytime. We can't even directly look at it because it's Bhagwan's stage. And then he said that among all the Vayus, I am the Marichi among the Maruts. And you can probably listen to the, that recording. And then among all the nakshatras, I am the moon, like that he said. Because nakshatra is the position of the moon. So वो तारे छोटे छोटे दिखाई देते हैं, but moon is the most glorious thing. कितना भी बड़ा तारा हो, पर हमारे अर्थ के पर्सपेक्टिव से मून सबसे ज़्यादा ग्लोरियस दिखाई देता है. तो इसे तो बोलते हैं उसमें मुझे देखना शुरू करो. That was the whole idea. So even though he's everywhere, it's easier to see him in the vibhuti. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yes. So that's why.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay.
Of the Devas, I am Vasava. Among the denizens of heavens, Vasava is King Indra. It's very interesting to note that according to Hindu concept, there is the highest standard of living imaginable in the heaven. But even among the denizens, there are the haves and have-nots. Individuals who perform meritorious acts reach the heaven to enjoy the wealth of goodness so acquired. And therefore, one who has acquired a larger wealth of merits while living here should necessarily come to enjoy there a subtler joy and a life of greater satisfaction. Of such lives, the most powerful and mighty, the most splendid and luxurious life will necessarily be of Indra. The self is as Indra among the gods, ruling over the others, controlling and directing them, and organizing their lives so that they may enjoy their highest standard of living.
So, Swamiji is just telling us that how somebody becomes an Indra by collecting, whoever collects a lot of merits and all, उसको फिर एक जैसे बोलते हैं ना वेकेशन का चांस मिलता है. Go there and enjoy your life because you have done such good karmas. उसके भी different levels है. मे बी जो थोड़ा सा गुड कर्मा करता है उसको थोड़ी देर के लिए वेकेशन भेजा जाता है, और फिर उस स्वर्ग में भी कुछ लेवल्स होंगे, पता नहीं, लाइक 5 स्टार 3 स्टार एंड ऑल दैट. उसमें जो अर्थ में जिसने सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छा काम किया होगा उसको राजा बना दिया जाके, चलो, so he will have the maximum, so that's what he's saying, that it's basically हर एक चीज़ में जो सबसे ग्लोरियस चीज है वो भगवान की विभूति है. ऐसे तो सभी भगवान की विभूति है, पर उसको देख के हम लोग जरा इम्प्रेस हो जाते हैं और इजीली भगवान से कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं. That's why he said that.
Of the sense organs, I am the mind. The above phrase that the self is Indra among the gods itself contains the subjective idea to all those who are well fed upon the lore of the Upanishads, that it is mind among the Indriyas. The word Indra in Sanskrit can also be dissolved as king of the sense organs. We have earlier mentioned that Devas, since the word means to illumine, they are the sense organs, and among them, naturally the mind is patron and this controller, without which the sense organs will not have synchronized their play in any intelligent field of activities.
So we saw this whole thing. So he talked about both the things. He talked about, all the 5 elements, or unka boss is Indra, and then they represent within us all the 5 elements. Sorry, the 5 element becomes the Indriyas, and then the word, when we say, kya bolte hain, sense organ, it's like to illumine, divya. That divya se wo devta hai. So whenever they say devatas, actually they're talking about those 5 elements. And these divya also illumine, meaning they illumine the world for us. Without the indriyas, if ek bhi indriya theek se kaam nahi karti hai, we cannot see the world properly. That information doesn't come. And then we discussed that how the mind is like the boss of all these things. So then Bhagwan is saying that is my vibhuti.
In all beings, I am the Chetna. This phrase is generally translated as I am the consciousness, Chetna, among the conscious. This is not a happy rendering. In the consciousness pure, there are no beings, and therefore the translation would falsify Vedanta. The term Chetna is generally used in our textbooks to denote the expression of Chaitanya when functioning through the medium of an intellect. Of all the beings, I am the intelligence, Buddhi. This would be more appropriate inasmuch as the children of the Dravidian age. We will not find it very difficult to appreciate this idea. Of all the beings created in the world, the most magnificent and wondrous item is mysterious power called the intelligence, which has not yet been brought within the understanding of the modern scientists beyond certain vague and fanciful theories.
So Swamiji ne bola, the best expression in some of these words, because they are like, I told you, sometimes you can take this one word and write a whole essay on it. So there are different dimensions of that Chetana. And he is saying that when you say, I cannot say that I'm consciousness, because that consciousness within us is a reflected consciousness, like you said, So I cannot, because the pure consciousness There's nothing, it's like nothing is there. So that's why he said intelligence. And he's just saying that intelligence is such a mysterious thing. If you really talk about, it's like a comprehension power. Sometimes for a human being, it almost seems like you don't know what the limits are of it. Some people, they do such amazing feat. From our perspective, it looks impossible, and it's like somebody calculating, like, sometimes they put those videos, some small child, 10, 12 years old, can do faster than a computer. Where is all that coming from? Think about it. Or somebody does some other invention and all that, how they think and all that, or even to create some artwork or any kind of thing. Everything requires intelligence, even to understand anything. It's from one end, we know what intelligence means. Everybody can have their own definition, but it's a very mysterious kind of power. And it's coming from that Bhagwan, So that's why he said that intelligence is his vibhuti. And the reason why he said that the modern scientists, they have some fanciful theories, as in the footnote and all, it says, I don't know much about brain science, but maybe you guys, some of you might know more. But they think that intelligence is coming from this gray matter and this and that. जिसका gray matter ज़्यादा होता है, उसका ज़्यादा intelligence होता है. लेकिन ये कोई नहीं बताता उसके पास है क्यों gray matter ज़्यादा. So चलो gray matter, खाली gray matter से intelligence कैसे आ सकता है भाई? मेरे को तो ये वेदांत की थियरी बहुत अच्छी लगती है कि the consciousness is everything and the intelligence is the power of that consciousness is coming, and it expresses in different people in different way to different extent and all that, and it literally, that's why it has no limit. But the human can merge with God and become God. That's why some of these people, they can talk on any subject anywhere, because whatever they need, it gets downloaded. That's how I look at it. Whatever they Bhagwan say, okay, here it is. Download, instant download. Like we have connected to the worldwide, these days, the chat GPT. तो उसका थोड़ा sample मिल गया हम लोग को. Put any question anywhere and you start getting the answer. फटाफट. So that's why mysterious power. And he's saying that modern science, they have some theories, but they don't deeply understand that how it is coming and how it is expressing, That's what it is. Any question, any comment?
Chetna also, I think, is there's, like they say, uski chetna chali gayi.
Haan.
Uska person died.
Right.
So the chetna is, but that's what he's saying. It's not. There's no good English translation for that.
Yep.
Some places Chetna also is translated as pranas.
True. So ऐसे और कभी कभी बोलते हैं ना, कोई बहुत आदमी बुरा काम करता तो बोलते हैं उसकी चेतना सोई हुई है, right? ऐसे भी हम लोग बोलते हैं कि मतलब he is not conscious of what he is doing, and also you are right. The chetna word has so many dimensions, but the best thing is it's like the power that makes us alive. And the reason Swamiji picked that intelligence, because it is the most powerful and mysterious thing within us, the intelligence. And when we say mana, buddhi, ahankar, so buddhi is on top of the mana also. And the whole spiritual journey is trying to manage this buddhi in the correct way. Purifying the mind, your buddhi ko jada. And that's why when in that analogy of the chariot, Krishna Bhagwan has the reins in the hand, and that represents the purified mind, or purified intelligence actually. When your mind becomes totally transparent and purified, you are like God. So that's what it is. So I think that this Chetana is a good word to meditate upon. You will be busy for a long time. Because it is, yeah. Any other comment? Yeah, Falguni ji has something. From her expression, I can feel. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I thought maybe she had a question. No, we can't hear you because you were muted. Yes. Now wait, again you got muted. You had unmute. No, you are muted again. Unfortunately, I cannot unmute you. I can mute you, but I don't know how to unmute you. Yes, there you go. Keep it that way
Can
now.
you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. No, so they say that Indra is the king of the sense organs. So when you're saying purify, is it like the being who has who has a control over all five senses in the pure manner?
So when we say Indra is it's not really the sense organs. When they talk, see, one is microcosm, one is macrocosm. Right? Macrocosm there are 5 elements everywhere in the whole universe. The division can be as many as you want, but Vedas they did, first they did five divisions. Like we all know, and that is very easy to understand. Earth and fire and yeah. So macrocosm ka jo boss hai na, wo hai Indra. Huh? And then in the Puranic stories and all, he resides in the heavens. And he has all the luxuries and all. So that perspective, Bhagwan said that I am the Indra of all the Devatas. Huh? So that we understood. Then he comes to the microcosm. So these 5 elements are within our body also, correct? Or we are made up of those 5 elements. We have earth element, we have fire element, we have water and all, everything, air, right? Everything. And then the 5 sense organs, they are also coming from these elements only. And each organ is connected with one element. लेकिन हमारी body में boss is the mind. That's what he's saying. So he's just separating the two as a macrocosm and microcosm. That's all. So microcosm में mind हो गया boss, और स्वर्ग लोक में जो इंद्र बैठा हुआ है, who is the boss of all these 5 elements, who's running the show. Like, somebody was complaining about the weather. So I said, why are you complaining? You're not Indra, no matter how much you complain, you can't change the weather. You got to go, ask him if you want warm or less, whatever. So that's one way to say, okay, he's controlling. In our body, the mind is the boss. That's why when we were studying Karma Yoga in chapter 3, 4, and 5, Bhagwan talked about sense control all the time. And how do we control the senses? By our mind, Shama Dhamma. Mind has to be involved. Hey, I don't want to see this, or I don't want to hear this. We do that all the time. The mind is the boss. Mind has a power to control the senses. That's one way of looking at it. And mind also, it can understand all 5 senses together. But the senses by itself cannot understand each other. So that's how they did it, that they divided into micro and macro. So that's why. And then what was the other question? About purifying the intelligence I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah. So purifying the intelligence means that our intelligence from one perspective is a deciding factor. Because what the Vedas have done, they have divided the mind into 4 components. Mana, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankar. So mana is the lower mind, they call it, where all the data collection happens. So mana is the one which is connected with the indriyas. It's bringing in all the data. When we see something, when we hear something, immediately all the data comes in. And then to make a decision and to give the orders to act, that's the job of a buddhi. How I should act, what I should be doing, something comes on my plate, whether I should eat or not, because I have diabetes and things like that. So that's where agar apna man boss ban jata hai na, lower mind, then I will eat it. Agar buddhi boss hoga to bolega, no. You may want to eat, but you can't eat it. And if it listen to the boss, then you won't eat it, right? Now the buddhi, if it is not pure, it will make all wrong decisions. That's why they say you need a pure. How do you get the pure buddhi? By increasing the sattva, by studying the shastras, by knowing what is the right thing to do, by listening to your gurus and your grandma and or whatever, So that's how you purify your buddhi, because all the wrong ideas I have to get rid of them. And because a pure buddhi is almost like God. That's why the representation I was talking about, that when in the chariot, the horses are the representation of the senses. If you leave the senses by themselves, chariot will crash. And then the reins are the mind. You have to hold it with the mind, but reins should be in the hands of the purified buddhi. Then you will complete your journey. Otherwise, the journey will remain incomplete, because somewhere crash हो जाएगा. समझो वो चैरियटर सो गया, या चैरियटर को यही नहीं पता कौन से डायरेक्शन में लेके जाऊं. जाना मुझे ईस्ट है और वो चैरियटर, वो ड्राइवर जो है ना, वेस्ट में ले जा रहा है मुझे. तभी इट्स सो सिंबॉलिक दैट अर्जुन ने अपना चैरियट युद्ध के मैदान में दे दिया कृष्ण भगवान के हाथ में. बोलते मेरे जीवन के भी सारथी बन जाओ. When he asked him, okay, he surrendered. He said, show me how to reach you. So it's a double meaning, that because Bhagwan will make sure that वो भटकेगा नहीं, वो उसको सही रास्ते पर, युद्ध में भी सही रास्ते पर और जीवन में भी सही रास्ते पर उसको लेके आए. So I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of things came out. Yes. Okay. ये खत्म हो गया ना? No. Yeah, we finished it. Okay. So I did not prepare the second one, because these days I have a lot less time. I wanted to do 2. So we should be just happy with these 4 right now. We have 8 vibhutis to meditate upon. Right? 21 and 22. So if there is no other question or comment, I will close Bhagavad Gita here then. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. हरिः ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम.